What is Office 365? It's an integrated experience of apps and services designed to help you pursue your passion and grow your business. Get apps like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and more, updated monthly with the latest features and security updates. Use cloud-powered email to reach customers and coworkers wherever work takes you. Collaborate in Microsoft Teams, the new hub for teamwork, where you can chat, organize meetings, and share files. Save files to OneDrive with 1 terabyte of online storage, allowing access across devices and on the go. Run your business with the business apps, empowering you to manage customer scheduling, invoicing, referrals, and more, all from one place. Protect your data with 24/7 security and support backed by Microsoft. With Office 365, you have more time to build your business and achieve even more.
All right, it is Friday, August, 23rd? 23rd.
Yeah. We're a couple
In Minnesota, it's state fair time. We are a couple minutes late. We apologize. We were having technical difficulties.
We had some, yes. And we
have overcome most of them, except we can't share Todd's screen. He wanted to do a demo, so we'll figure that out.
Yep.
Maybe. But it's an Office Flash Friday. We will at least keep you informed, enlightened, and ready to face the week of Microsoft.
Amazing. Let's enlighten some folks, man. Let's drop some knowledge.
Let's drop some knowledge, right?
Yeah.
That's a good way to go about it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm up first. I have some. I'm doing a deep dive. It is a slow news cycle, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, right?
No.
But so we'll probably be a little short show since we may not be able to do our demo today, but you can at least talk through what it is. So I have a couple of things on Planner. I'm going into the archive on Planner, and I say it with a chuckle because there was some stuff I missed. And every once in a while, when we don't have anything, sort of super new and cool from the announcement standpoint, I like to dive in and go, what's something I haven't looked at in a while that I may have missed? And Planner had a couple of cool things, so I was going to talk about those and then turn it over, and I'll be your remote demo person for, or at least remote keyboard driver for you here in Minneapolis. So let's hit it. So first, I somehow missed this, and I think this is incredibly useful. This comes from Junis, and in case you missed it, where did you know you can export your plan to Excel?
I learned that. I learned that today.
Yeah, I had no clue. It's actually pretty cool. There's actually a board option that says export plan to Excel, obviously along with copy plan and some stuff, and add plan to Outlook calendar. There were a couple of options in there that maybe we talked about in preview or whatever it is. So if you have not checked out Planner's integration, and it says basically it includes the assigned to, the start date, description, the labels, has kind of all that task stuff. So it's actually a pretty nice view of the individual one, and it has the plan IDs in here. So that's kind of interesting because you could also do some automation around it. Say you want to do because you have the IDs, the plan IDs. So you could toss this in and then parse it with a PowerShell script, do plan automation. So say you basically want to export a bunch of plans or do something else. So I haven't played around at how much you can do with this at the API layer, but I thought it was pretty cool. And they said, hey, what's this really used for? Archiving, analysis, merging plans together, right? So if you say, hey, you're part of a multi-year initiative, there's no way to pull them together, but you can in Excel by exporting them individually on top of it. And obviously it gives you some more printing options, et cetera.
And I like
pretty cool.
The idea of automation of kind of leveraging maybe a templatized version. I know you can do like planner templates, but the idea that I can have a template either, in its kind of am I working?
Yeah.
Okay. So apparently I'm sending my screen if you can mess with that, but if not, no worries.
We'll check it out.
But the ability to export and do some automation around that, that's a pretty cool idea. Whether that's Flow or PowerShell or whatever that is. That's pretty neat.
So let's we're just going to do a small technical check here. Then Emily, do we have the plan up and running or his content? Okay, we're apparently still not seeing it, but I will pull up your first blog point, then I will exit green screen and try and go fix it backstage, because that's how we roll. We're not trying to be some super high production thing. We're trying to make it work. So I'll do this, and then while you talk through the first, I'll pull up the first one of your things, and I'll just run back and forth till we get you on the air, because we will make this happen. Okay, so my next up one was, and this is from the last week, is that they reviewed what all plans are. We announced a change to it and stuff. So they said, hey, look, what do all plans, right? It said before the change, it would really show all the groups, but now it shows all the plans. Make sense?
I think I missed. Like where am I seeing all the
Oh,
plans?
okay. So when you went to the all plans view, right?
Okay.
We used to essentially show you a list of the groups.
Yep. Okay.
But those were not the plans, right? Because
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, where's my plan? Well, so now the all plans actually sees the plans, and you can see, hey, if you can also tell the title if a group probably contains multiple plans, as the plan name doesn't match the group shown. So anyway, they sort of cleaning up and heading towards a migration on top of that. So the export, the new all plans view. And that's that's about it from the curious stuff. You guys covered the cool accessible meetings things with the see-through person with the webcam stuff last week, right?
Yeah, and we kind of just touched on the fact that inclusion, right, is super important. Remote meetings are hard.
They are.
And really, I would say never optimal, right? Face-to-face is always optimal, right? But sometimes optimal doesn't work. And inclusion is important, and it's important to think about your remote people.
Speaking of inclusion, did you follow us on Twitter? Somebody saw the picture of the Office/Friday transcription,
right?
Because I said Office/Friday, and it said / and we had that dialogue on top of it. But that's another example of an inclusive meeting. You can activate the transcripts at the bottom of this meeting, and now in previewing a regular Teams conversation, you can put that little bar down at the bottom for transcribing the actual meeting you're currently in, right? Be it a call or whatever else it is. And this week, in honor of our good friend Greg Kostick out in Denver, this is not only being simulcast in our traditional top, 4 or 5 languages. I added Latvian.
Ooh.
So language of the week, Latvian. So feel free to rotate over and go to town on top of that. Okay, so we're gonna do a little. By the way, we really should redux the how we do this show again. But for those who don't know, we obviously have a green screen, and this is not a real desk. It's a virtual set. And we compose all these things, and we bring Todd in remotely, and we do all this sort of mashup in order to do this. And it's very skunk-worky from a tech standpoint. Sometimes that bites us, but we get to have a really interesting show and a broadcast. We've learned a ton, and we try and share that with customers along the way. The reason I'm prefixing that is because I'm going to pull up your first announcement here, and then I'm going to try and run back and get your
if I could get you to pull up these analysis services, SQL Server, that one.
I'd be happy to.
That one maybe a little longer.
Awesome. Stretch.
Yes.
Stretch. Right. Just on top. Is there a place you want me to leave it? Like right about here, something good?
That's perfect right there.
Wonderful. Right. I'll be back. You keep talking to our fine audience.
I will do that. All right. So this is for those of you that are have a Power BI environment or a Microsoft BI environment, you are probably familiar with what analysis services is, right? So when you are creating business-ready models to give to users, to get the performance, to bake in the calculations, to hand people something that they can put a Power BI report or an Excel pivot table or insert BI tool here on top of, analysis services is your tool. It's been around for many years. It's a very mature tool. It's a great tool, and we are about to release SQL Server 2019, which includes some updates to the tooling, even some multidimensional love here for you folks. So we'll talk about that. All right. So one of the things that we introduced in one of the previous CTPs was calculation items, okay, and calculation groups. And what this does is it enables one of the kind of core scenarios that enables is easier things for common calculations, especially around like year to date or percent year-over-year change or things like that. Month to date, prior year, all of those things can live in a calculation group, and that makes it easier for both the model maintenance as well as for your users to do some of those calculations on top of things like sales or customer satisfaction or whatever those things might be. However, when we introduced it, we did not provide an easy way to order those things. So they would always be in alphabetical order instead of an order that made sense. Like it might make sense to put current first, then month to date, year to date, or quarter to date rather, and then year to date. So we now allow you to order those things. So that's a good feature in the new analysis services. This one is very interesting. Query interleaving with short query bias for high concurrency workloads. So what the heck is that?
Oh my gosh, come on now.
That's a lot of words. That's a lot of words. Now, why that's important though is in the past, analysis services has had, there you go, perfect, has had, actually, if you could pull both those up on the screen and go full screen, this will become kind of obvious why this is important. It's a first in, first out query pattern. So if you have high concurrency, and usually most analysis services, or very commonly, the queries are short bursts. So, but if you have a long running query, if you want to scroll down just a little bit, all those short running queries that are coming are going to get queued up, and they're going to be waiting. Even if that query is going to take like a couple milliseconds or 100 milliseconds or so, it's going to have to wait. So what we're doing is we're kind of watching for these short queries to come in, and we're going to hit pause on those long running queries while the short ones can burst in to allow kind of a higher concurrency, so that not a lot of these short running queries kind of queue up. So this is
we're not strictly doing a FIFO kind of thing, right?
It's no longer just FIFO. So that's a big one, and I know that those that have been affected by this will be cheering.
Sadly, Todd, I am still not getting your stream.
No worries. We'll do the demo next week, and we'll keep going. So
awesome.
This next one, online attach, also a nice one, because this allows me to very commonly in high concurrency workloads, when you're running either on-prem or even in Azure Analysis Services, you're going to have a couple different server types in your farm. You're going to have one server doing processing of your model, and other servers that have read-only copies of your process model to handle the query, and that's going to be load balanced, right? So what we're allowing now is for your query server to continue to do the process. You can copy your model over, and as long as, here's the caveat, right? This doesn't come for free. As long as you can fit a copy of your new model and your old model in memory, right? Then you can just do a hot swap, and there's no downtime. So this is really nice. For a lot of folks that have really large models, this might not be attainable.
Can you tell me when you say like really large model, what is that? What's that?
Well, terabytes, more than you can fit in memory twice, right? So let's say I have a.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you know, so you say very large to me, like, well, mine's very large, but so you're talking in the terabyte range.
Well, it depends. Yeah. So let's say I have a box with 2 terabytes of RAM. It's a lot of RAM, right? Yeah. And my model is, over a terabyte. Well, this wouldn't work for that because I have to be able to fit both of those models in memory to swap them, right?
Yep.
But if I have, a lot of times you have many smaller models, right? A couple gigs, 10 gigs, 50 gigs. That might be more something approachable. So that's a really nice feature. A lot of people are still using multidimensional. Multidimensional is still a very people are still getting a ton of value out of the product. So what we're doing too is we're adding some new DAX inside. If you scroll down a little bit, we're adding some new DAX into the analysis services to improve the performance of Power BI on top of multidimensional. So little love there. Also, we're adding in some governance. We're adding in a governance option, which allows you to control. And we've talked about this before in Azure Analysis Services. We're now bringing that capability down to the on-prem or IaaS version, where we allow you to govern how the dashboard tiles in Power BI are refreshed against those cubes. Because if you have a lot of these dashboard tiles, you could be hammering the model unnecessarily. So we're allowing you to control that. So, all right, so let's hop back to that previous link that you had up there, Doug, around the branding. So there we go. So we announced this back at the, I believe it was the Business Application Summit. This one's awesome. We've rolled this out inside of Microsoft. So our internal Power BI tenant has a nice skyline view of Seattle, right? Because that's home for us with our corporate color and branding. So we now allow you to, yeah, exactly, upload a logo, a cover image, and set a theme color. And so not only does this enhance your corporate, and I love that accordion kind of pan out. That's just a beautiful GIF there. Someone spent some time on that.
I know.
You're able to set your nice corporate standard for the Power BI homepage. But Doug, this really comes in handy when you're doing B2B, right? And why is that? So it's really obvious to your external folks who are coming in and looking at consuming analytics from inside your organization, whose tenant they're in, right?
That's worth a fair pause right there, actually, because we had one of the other architects who was working on something, and we had a customer essentially historically was saying they were creating primary identities instead of B2B identities.
Yeah.
And for it's a franchisee scenario, right?
Yeah.
And they wanted to do B2B, but originally could not. It now looks like, given how far B2B has come, that they can. So they can basically then have differentiated branding for their franchisees versus their, full employees, and that's those kind of scenarios are important in like holding company scenarios and the rest of it. So it's getting way more about like how you want to manage it as opposed to a limitation we're imposing on you because of a feature/license boundary.
Well, and it's interesting too. You kind of know when something is ready. I mean, we have our opinions on when something is ready for enterprise consumption, but when
Yeah,
you kind of
true.
know it's ready, when you start to see customers come through the MTC and they've just turned it on and they're using it, right? And I've been
Right.
seeing a trend over the last few months of customers coming in and they're leveraging B2B with great success, almost non-ceremoniously, which is how we like it, right?
Yep.
So yeah.
By the way,
B2B.
one small tangential related shout out to it, and you and I have been working through some internal process around this, and we had this page for the longest time we show on the show, aka.ms/MTC Live or MTC events for coming in, and we had like dashboard in a day and app in a day, those events. Those have now moved location over to their respective home sites, if you will. But if you reach out to your local Microsoft account team or whatever, they can go get you those things. So if you're in need of like when those things are, because they technically have not been hosted by the MTCs for a while. And so the decision was made to move it out, but we have no easy way to hot link you over. So those events are still happening monthly at the MTCs. Like the app in a day and dash in a day are still happening. So if you're like, hey, what happened to those? No, they're still out there. They just aren't no longer listed on our MTC pages. So we were trying to get some cross posts and the rest of the stuff, but as you might suspect, the wheels of those things move slowly. So if all else fails, reach out. Otherwise, if you go up to the Power Apps page and Flow page, they have their link to the app in a day session, and Dash in a day is coming to the Power BI website. But if you're stuck on something and you can't find the events, reach out to us and we will make sure you get hooked up.
Absolutely. Right on. All right. So I think I got two more things here. One more Power BI and one more Flow here. So on to the next post from
next
OneNote.
Post.
Yep. So change to summarize data export behavior with build permission. So another one with a lot of words. What does this actually mean? This one's pretty straightforward, but it might be a little nuanced. So not too long ago, we introduced the build permission in addition to the read permission when you're viewing the visuals, and we changed the behavior when we did that around exporting of data. So we had previously, when we introduced that build permission, we required that you had that build permission to be able to export even the summarized data into CSV. So we've now the behavior is such that if you have the read permission, you can export summarized data, but you still need the build permission to export the underlying data. So this is something we thought was a good idea to even take the export away from the read, but we got some feedback on that. We reviewed and we made the change based on customer feedback. So hopefully, if you were affected by that or you didn't like the way that it worked before, that you like the way it works now. So
great.
And then I got one more on Flow, and then I'll kind of tease the demo that I had ready, and we'll make sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, and we'll fix our little streaming problem by next week.
Yeah. All right. So this one is very cool. This is the Unified Action Center for Flow.
Let's cut full screen on this one. This one's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So this one has a couple different sections to it. So yeah, go scroll down to the approvals and get that. So this one right here. It's all about information surfacing of information in a way that's useful. So we've always had approvals in this Flow portal. We're making it a little easier to kind of see which approvals are waiting on me. Which approvals have I sent via Flow to other people via the sent tab, and then going and looking at my history too, right, for both, and then I can filter both based on sent and received approvals. So that's kind of just a kind of adjustment on what we've had to make it a little easier. But then when we get down to business process flows, there's a section called business process flows down there, which is super cool. And the way that this works is if there is a business process flow, meaning that I have an entity in the CDS of which I'm assigned to at least one of those entities, it will show up here for me. So like, let's say I'm involved in a lead or an opportunity or some other activity inside of the common data service. If I'm assigned one of those activities inside of the CDS, it will show up here. So this is where I can really start to enhance my business process automation across our different Dynamics clouds and those kinds of things. So I thought that one was very cool because it's not just about the things that are happening inside of Flow. Now it's about the things that are happening across my business systems. So I thought this was a really, really nice add to this. Does that make sense, Doug?
It does, yeah. Hey, so Tangent, I know sometimes it's hard to get a handle on some of these things and play around with them and stuff. So just as an announcement, and you guys, it'd be kind of fun if you could match this in St. Louis. This is a cold request. We scheduled it in Minneapolis. The reg page will be going up soon, but October 31st and November 1st. So Halloween and All Saints Day, kind of humorous, right? We're scheduling a modern workplace hackathon around the sort of office canvas, so sort of the modern workplace stuff. So Office, the Ops Scrap, Flow, Power Apps, and actual office automation, including bot stuff. So we're scheduling a 2-day hackathon in Minneapolis. So customers are all up and welcome to do. So if you want to check those days and see if you can concurrently offer it in St. Louis, that'd be kind of cool.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, let's chat offline and we'll see if we can even get like a live portal.
We could put up a couple of Surface hubs between the two places. People collaborate across that. But the goal is to give you. Now we cold open it normally with an express version of App in a Day, like a really express version of that, and a little short overview. Like the first 3 hours are us showing you a little bit of cold open lectures if you've never had any exposure. But then the whole rest of the time is just we hang around, you build stuff. So if you've never been to a hackathon, it's like you bring a problem and you construct on it, right?
I love hackathons. They're so fun.
I love them. They're so fun. And so it's and this is where some of the original stuff we did around the Teams governance automation APIs, the reporting on flow usage, like a lot of the stuff you and I have covered over the years when we do demos of something a customer cares about, they came from customer requests and those kind of things. So
keep me in the loop. We'll chat offline, and we'll obviously provide those reg links out to folks once those are ready.
I'm doing the registration from this one will come from the Minnesota 365 users group. So we're doing this in conjunction with them. And then they have the giant admin day coming up in November too. So there's a lot of education, hands-on, practical, get your fingers dirty on this stuff, events coming. And we are always happy to have you reach out through your account teams and host you at the MTC to dive in on something that doesn't have a pattern for as well. So reach out.
So just to wrap, I have a demo ready. I can't show it. I'll show it next week where, and this is one I talked about a few weeks back, talking about how do we integrate this idea of data flows, data lake, certified data sets in Power BI to really enable the organization with self-service analytics in a very, very governed and curated way. So I have a little talk track around governance of data sets, models, and visuals. And then I'm going to show you two different approaches to solving for this. One is just Power BI. So if you're getting going, a lot of people you can enable this kind of enterprise curated data lake actually from Power BI, believe it or not. But then kind of moving more to the enterprise approach where we're carving off some of our data sets out into a data lake, but still giving that curated data set, data model, visual view to the users. And I have a demo to show that. So
awesome.
We'll show that next week.
We're going to suspend news next week because I'm also in demo mode next week. We have completed essentially an internal workload we did that we're submitting to GitHub that we built for our own internal MTC team, whereby you can submit through a Power App an item that you would like to become a structurally formatted news post, and it goes off to your marketing team for review. And so it's a programmatic way to assemble and publish and manage SharePoint news items.
So do I understand that next week is going to be an all demo show?
It's going to be all demo show. Yep, nothing but demo. And so these are really, this one, people for the longest time, I sat down with Corey Buzzle and we sort of really dove into the SharePoint APIs around publication of news pages and leveraging of templates and the rest of the stuff. And it's a little, the reason we're putting it to GitHub is because if you want to, parts of it we just statically coded, but you can go swap the variables and stuff. But it simply would like to continue to make it a little more elegant, but it works very, very well right now for what it does. And essentially lets you take a templated news page and then you can take dynamic content, inject it after a marketing review and approval, and it'll create a SharePoint news item. But then you retain a backlink to that so you can search the metadata and curate and find show me all things for this industry or from this location or anything else. And that's something that's a challenge for us in the center. I know it's been a challenge to allow people to get news in the feed for your marketing people. I hear that all the time. So since we sort of finished the version 1 of that flow, or maybe 0.5, we're like, let's toss it to the community and show people what we built. And
Very
so I'm
cool.
going to show that one off next week. I think it's crazy useful. And we'll show you kind of where we're going from a vision standpoint. So next week's an all demo show. Unless there's some critical breaking news that we simply cannot wait on, we're going to show you a bunch of hands-on stuff next week.
Nice. Awesome.
All right.
I hope
Well, that's it.
Great and safe weekend. If kids are getting back to school, hope they have a great school year, and everybody be safe.
Yeah, same here. If you're in Minnesota, I hope you make it to the state fair. I'm going out. Eat some bad food and chill out. Right.
Oh, really good food, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. Both statements are true. All right. Thanks to Emily for producing this week and for juggling schedules. Sorry we were late. We'll be back next week for the all demo show. Until then, take care. We're signing off from St. Louis and Minneapolis.
Yeah.